Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Gabe Salazar. Many of these families discovered the fate of their homes by looking at pictures and videos circulating around social media, including the wards. And continuing our wildfire coverage, the Radford fire continues to burn out of control near Big Bear. It has grown to more than 1,100 acres and is only 2% contained. We are the Central Valley's only digital interactive streaming show, and we are live streaming online on our website, yourcentralvalley.com, as well as on our app. If you'd like to send a shout out or give a comment, you can head over to either of our CBS 47 or KC24 Facebook pages. Hollywood is in its streaming age right now. Almost every studio has its own streaming service, or the studio is the streaming service, such as Netflix. SAG-AFTRA represents 160,000 of its members. It's the largest entertainment union in the country, and most of its members are actors, including Shiloh Molina. So Shiloh has starred in a number of Nickelodeon productions, and Shiloh, really two big issues at stake in negotiations, right?
Yes, the usage of AI and fair wages, fair contracts.
Yeah, and not many people know that you are a New Mexico native. Recently, production on A Really Loud House, which you were starring in, was halted. How did that make you feel?
I mean, I was upset, but it was because of the strike, and the strike is important. It's definitely a crucial thing in the industry right now. So, I mean, it was upsetting, but it was important.
All right, Shiloh, good speaking to you.
Thank you so much.
And really, the effects of this strike is felt way beyond Hollywood actors and actresses. Production of your favorite series could be halted as a result of this. And it's interesting to note that Netflix is actually benefiting from all of these strikes. They reportedly saved more than $1.5 billion from not making any shows or new movies. So the big question now is, how long will this go on? Well, as long as it takes to reach a deal. How long that will take is unclear, though the strike will stop once the studios and the union can agree on a new contract. In Southeast Albuquerque, Gabe Salazar, KOB4. So back in April, a nearly $260 million One Fresno housing plan was presented to city council members. Now, in this plan, more than $100 million would be invested to create nearly 4,700 affordable housing units over 3 years. Now, the next priority would be housing the homeless, which would set aside more than $150 million to create more than 2,000 affordable housing units for those who earn 50% or less of the area median income. However, no word on how this would directly affect market rate housing for most of us who earn close to the median income or higher. The drug addiction problem and the humanitarian crisis kind of go hand in hand. So do you have an overarching plan to allocate resources to the border, because a lot of these drugs come from across the border?
Yeah, I'm going to close the border. I'm going to seal the border.
I just want to give you the lay of the land right now, because it's pretty incredible where everything is in relation to each other. Right here is a pretty crowded residential area in San Luis. Then right behind me here is a dirt lot where the entrance of that cross-border tunnel is located. And just about 200 feet in this direction is the southern border. That's why agents tell me it's not a matter of if there are more tunnels, but how many and where. As the Washburn fire now enters its fourth day burning in Yosemite National Park, it is still 0% contained and more than doubled in size over the weekend, now at over 2,000 acres. Take a look behind me as we are looking at active flames burning here just a few yards away from the south entrance here. So the world's largest trees are in danger, but so far firefighting efforts continue to pay off, as none of the giant sequoias have no reported damage as of yet. There are new questions over how a miscommunication led to an accidental rotating outage impacting thousands of people. Danielle, so you can either react or redirect to the bad news, right? So I want to redirect you to supporting the local vendors here. It's not something people would think of when they think of a cross-border tunnel, right? Because, I mean, you can see that there's nails that hold these wooden pieces together. And does this help with de-insulation when it gets super hot outside during the summertime?
Give us the sense of how the housing market in Fresno is comparing to the housing market statewide.
Yeah, Brody and Caroline, so according to Realtor.com, in June of this year, the median listing home price in Fresno was about $380,000, trending up to about 16.9% year over year. Now, currently, Fresno is considered a buyer's market, which means that the supply of homes is greater than the demand. Now, this time last year, it was considered a seller's market because there just wasn't enough inventory. Parlier Police was the first to arrive, and they found the young man shot inside of his home. So EMS took the young man to Selma Hospital, where he unfortunately later died. Fresno County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit took over the investigation, and as of now, they say that what it looks like is that shots were fired from outside of the home into that house. Coming up here, I saw a sign that read, "Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try." So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is the exact same thing that some of the campers here are doing as well. So this is the 37th annual Champ Camp. Me and Ryan are going to be both going down the zip line in a few seconds. So are we good to go?
You are good to go.
Like anytime?
Anytime. You're good.
Like now? Okay. Oh gosh. Okay.
We were finally getting somewhere in the national crisis that New Mexico was making this huge difference.
Darlene Gomez legally represents 20 families who have a missing loved one. The Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Relatives Task Force was created through an executive order back in 2021. Since Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced she was dissolving the task force earlier this year, Gomez says it felt like their justice was in limbo.
If you talk to the families, they feel like there's no more hope. That something that was promised to them, something that was working, is no longer there.
Last month, the governor announced a new advisory council would be created, but with significantly less staff members. Gomez, who served within the original task force, says she's worried about a lack of transparency and communication.
My phone calls go unanswered to law enforcement, to the Indian Affairs Division, so I no longer am able to just make a phone call to follow up on a missing family member.
The crisis hits close to home for Gomez.
My brother-in-law, Doc Beaver, was murdered on the San Carlos Reservation, and his non-native killer only got 6 years. And in my community, I can just name person after person that's gone missing, and they're still missing today.
That's why she's leading a team of advocates to bring those concerns to state lawmakers and codify the original task force into law, rather than an executive order.
We're afraid if it just goes into an executive order that it'll end.
They will bring these concerns in the upcoming legislative session in January, hoping to bring them one step closer to justice. Gabe Salazar, KOB4. Yep, looks like a great morning for a balloon launch.
We're taking the scenic route today. Come and join me for the ride.
With conditions almost perfect, I wasn't going to let this opportunity fly away, so up we went. I joined 10 other early risers, and for every single one of us, it was our first balloon ride in Albuquerque.
How often do you get people who are just trying to conquer their fear of heights?
You know, asking for a friend.
Very often, but the thing is if you look over the side, you can't really tell how high you are.
I don't know about that. We rose to an altitude of 7,700 feet, soared over homes, and mock drivers sitting in traffic over I-25. And we made it just in time to catch a view of the sunrise that you just can't beat.
What's your favorite part about piloting?
I think mostly meeting the people, and then there's no two flights that are the same. Even I've been doing it for 43 years now. I have over 4,000 hours, and every flight is different.
Some riders traveled across the country to the Duke City for this year's fiesta.
So where are you visiting from?
Pennsylvania. Feels great. I mean, not too much of a problem. A little nervousness at first.
It's all an ode to the man who started Fiesta in the first place.
Sid Cutter is a name we hear a lot, especially around this time of year, known as the father of hot air ballooning in Albuquerque.
Yes.
And you have a direct connection to him, right?
Yes, I do. I started in 78, started flying for Sid about 2 years later, and from there on it's just kind of been a wonderful thing that I've been lucky to be involved in.
Just one piece of advice though.
What tips do you have for first-time flyers?
Well, enjoy the ride.
Hoping you have a great balloon fiesta. Yeah! Gabe Salazar, KOB4.